Boy, these tips and tricks will enhance your workflow in Karma Houdini 20.
Here we go, it's about to go down. Let me know, I'ma buy another round. Get low, drop it down to the ground. Oh yeah, wow, shorty make it bounce. Mama see the put cuffs on my cardiac. Took my breath away like a heart attack. And I'ma spend every time and my money back. Everybody wanna know. Ready, let me know. Let's go.
Hi everyone, this is Dyson. Welcome to my channel and I hope you have a great day. So let's begin. I know, I did it again. Recently I did this with Houdini Karma 20. You see, I know this is, for most of you, this is a weird, but I dig it honestly. So I did that with Houdini Karma 20. I used everything to it. Hair, pyro, deformation, even UDIM. And yeah, I had a many challenge honestly and many headache. But having said that, I learned some tip and tricks and I want to share it with you guys. So before we begin, if you like this kind of video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. So what's happening on my Patreon this week? We have this general breakdown, not full detail because it will take for ages. And we're gonna look at the camera workflow with iPhone and 3D header tracking with Keen Tools with That's All mod. You see, this is a big challenge. And after that, we have this 3D asset preparation with hair generation and this basic geometry in Houdini. And I had these test renders to make sure everything works fine. And because the idea was not clear in the first place, I got help from AI, Kara AI. You see, you can give that a reference and it will generate for you and give you an idea. This is an awesome workflow. We're going to talk about that on my Patreon. The lighting workflow, it's simple. And UDIM, you see, the UDIM, it's so challenging on Karma, was challenging honestly. And after that, we have this motion blur. This is a challenge too, and crypto matte and this matte option. And big shout out for these awesome people. Thank you guys, and let's begin. So the first tips in Karma, it's context option. You can access from this Solaris menu and context option editor. What is that? It is basically control panel for you, the customizable control panel. You see, we have this awesome variable, text, number, file path, etc. File path, sorry, etc. You see, for instance, this number, it will be a float or integer. Float mean with decimal, integer it's fixed number, and you see that. For instance, we have this int slider. Let me rename that as a res. For instance, I want to control the resolution from this slider, and you see we have this option in here, minimum and maximum, with this pencil icon. So in order to control that, we're gonna put the resolution to the middle and for instance divide that by our custom variable, and it will be @res. You see, it will divide this integer by this slider. You see that? It's good workflow for a work in smooth way. You see that? And with that, we controlling the resolution. So every parameter in Houdini have a type of data. For instance, we have this float slider or integer slider or string data. So based on that, you can select this one. For instance, from this variable, we have the heading. For example, you can separate the option for visual purpose only. You see, material, for example, and we have this on and off option. This is a boolean 0 and 1, like this one, simplify shading. You can control it with this expression. You see, expression and edit expression. You can control it with your variable. You see, @VB, and done. You see that you can control the boolean or a checkbox type for this one like that. And even they worked in sub level. This is an awesome option for that. You see that? And we have this, for instance, I want to resize that by this variable, you see, and let me show you. That's awesome. It will work on sub level too. So we have this awesome menu, Python menu. I'm not expert with Python, honestly. And this file path option, this is a string option. You see, it's not going to work like the other with @sign the variable. You need a back tick for it. Let me show you the end and the beginning, and voila. The string needs backtick. So this is a context editor. So another tips and trick I learned from this project, it's optimize scene. What I mean by that, you see, if you have a large asset, you can of course toggle the visibility in the tree view, but it will calculate that, you see. And instead of that, I have an alternative with that. You see, I have this checkbox type of contacts option in here, and you see, if I toggle that, this object will load into Solaris, you see. So how I achieved by that, let's calculate that. You see, this is my workflow on this project, and it will work like this. Let me show you. For instance, if we have this large asset, the piggy, it's not large in here, but let's assume it's large asset. So I did that by switch and new null, empty null, you see. And in here, I type this expression, my variable, it's equal to 1. Yeah, it means it's equal to true or checked, you see. That's a cool trick. The next one, it's mesh light. This was my question too. I was wondering how I can get a mesh light in Karma. So it's easy. I prepared these two object, the ring as a light, you see, and the piggy as a piggy. And let's go to the Solaris. So we have this ring. I want to convert that as a mesh light. You see, we have this mesh light geometry light node in Solaris, but it is a render geometry setting basically with this turn on. You see, treat as a light. So with that being yes, and let's assign that, and nothing happened. You see that? We need a material for that. That's the downside, honestly. So let's create a material, and let's enable or increase the emission, and nothing happened because we need to assign that. Let's assign it. Okay, and the light, and voila. This is how you can get a mesh light in Karma. Another one is material linker. You see, we have many assets in here, and if you want to assign that individually, it will take too long. So we have this, for instance, all the devices for Sci-fi object. The proper way to assign this material for this asset, it's a material linker. Let me show you from scratch in here. Let's have a material linker. And we talked about this in a previous tutorial, but it's good to mention here. So, for instance, we have this substance main material in here. You see, we have these two options, and you can expand that to see that's delete icon. This is worth to mention. And you see, we have these devices. You can have this kind of expression to assign this material to the devices, you see, with this expression, and yeah, you can hit apply. So if you don't want one of them, if you exclude one of them from the assigning, for instance, device 10, you can select this option in here and do the same thing with the expression. You see, in this one we're gonna type device 10, and yeah, you see, and we're gonna delete that from the material. See, that's this is a material linker, and this is so helpful. Another one, the attribute import. How we can import your attribute? Let me show you. So let's create custom attribute from mask from geometry. So let's assume we have this attribute. You see that? Let's have this one as a mask. This called mask. You see that? And now we have this attribute. Let's go to the Solaris, and first make sure you have it in the details in here. You see that? Let me see where is it. Okay, the mask. Okay, I guess this is the mask. Okay, we have our mask imported in here. So in material, if you want to import that, it's easy, and let me create a material X, and let me bring that down to make sure it's assigned. Okay, where is the piggy? Okay, we have our material assigned in here. So we have two ways to import that. First one, it's USD print bar reader. This is an awesome option. You see, we can select the type of our attribute. It's float, and it's called mask. You see, and let me see. So the mask will go to the base, not base color. You see that? This is the one way to import that. Another way, it's geometry property reader, I guess. You see, geometry property value, sorry. This is another way to import your attribute. Another tips and trick I have in here, it's material mix. You see, we have these two images. Let me show you. Let's bring the base. We have this texture and this one, and I don't know you know that or not, we have this material X mix node in here to mix two texture. You see that? Driven by this mix, you can use the material or any mask to drive this mix in here. But what if I want to mix two standard shader? You see, let's create another standard shader. It's big deal for this workflow. You see, you can have a different material for one object, you see, without going to have a complex selection in geometry level. So let's have this one as a red material, and let me show you, and this one as a blue material. And now you can use the same material X mix. You see, the output will change based on the input, and see that this is our mix. And of course you can drive that by this mask, which is my custom attribute. You see, and this is a big deal. You can now change the material for them, for instance, to the metal, and the red one, it will be translucent like a glass. This is an awesome workflow. You see, awesome. So another tips about UDIM, automate the UDIM in here. So first, let me show you, we have this basic shader ball. You see that? Let me split the view. Sorry, okay. Okay, this one, it will be the UV. You see, we have UV for this shader ball, but I want to have individual UV or UDIM for each one of these pieces, driven by the name attribute. So the way to do that, it's easy. First, let's select, for instance, a pieces. I will use the delete node in here, and for instance, I will use this one non-selected, and this is my first pieces, and I will use the UV layout. This is the way. And now we can change that to the UDIM tiles and select a tiles for this UDIM. This is the basic workflow. You see that? And if you want another one to another pieces, we're gonna copy that and use another pieces in here and change the UDIM tiles and merge that. You see, this is the old school way, you see. Now we're gonna automate that. I have this awesome trick in here. First, it will pack the geometry. You see, we have 1 point now, but I need a point for each pieces. We're gonna enable the name attribute in here, and you see we have our pieces back. So now we're gonna create attribute. For instance, let's call it UDIM. It's point attribute, and for instance, let's have a $PTNum to it. Yeah, so I want to copy a point number to this attribute. It's primitive, and it's integer. You see that? And we're gonna offset that by 1000 number. You see, this is a UDIM tiles. I want to assign the tile or island to it in here. So we're gonna unpack that. Nothing, we don't have any, that's attribute. We're gonna transfer that in here, and you see we have these UDIM tiles in the geometry. So we're gonna assign that in UV layout. You see, let's have a UV layout. Nothing happened. If we enable that, nothing happened. You see, all of that will change, but we have this awesome target assignment. You see, it's UDIM attribute by default, and yeah, you see, now we have our UDIM. It's easy and fast approach. This is our UDIM automation workflow, and I did the same thing with this geometry in here. You see, this is a mini geometry, and the UDIM was the way in here. You see, and we have this target attribute 2 in here. So UDIM material, let's go to the Solaris, and I have this asset, and I paint that with the substance painter using UDIM workflow, and I export that as AXR. You see that with these tiles number in here. This is the way UDIM works. And let's have a Karma material builder, and let's okay, let's assign that first. Where are you? And we have our material assigned. Now let's create image node in here. I want to load our UDIM in here, so let's connect it to base color, and let's load our UDIM. You see that? If I load the first one, it will not work in here. It's messed up. You see that? We need this awesome expression. You see, UDIM, and voila, it's working. You see that? With one material. This is the benefit of UDIM. So a challenge I had with the UDIM is, what if I want to change one property to the one of these pieces? You see, we have one single material to all the geometry. So what is the alternative way? You see, what if I want to have an emission or light to these pieces I want to change? You see, we assign this material to these for these all devices. So the first way, it's the ugly way, is to duplicate one of these material and of course load the UDIM texture to it, for example this one, and make the changes, and of course it will take you to assign that in here. But we have a cleaner way in here. You see, I have this awesome way in here called let me disable that. It's called material x if equal. What is that? This is an awesome genius node. Let me show you the help, and this is go with that. If value of 1 it's equal to value of 2, it will print the input of 1. It's weird, but it will work. Let me show you, and let me show you. We're gonna use this target attribute in here to filter out our pieces, you see. And let's have a USD print var reader, and let's go with target, and yeah, it's integer because it's island number. And I wanna, for instance, have emission, I wanna have this one, see, and I will output for the emission, and if it's equal, it will enable that to 1. You see, the input one will be true, and the input one will be 10. The emission strength will be 10. You see that? If I change the island, that's genius. You see, it will assign, it will make these changes to the specific island or the UDIM tiles. You see that? And this is so genius, and thank you Houdini for this awesome node in here. You see that? And this is one of the challenge I had, and I'm so happy to solve it in here. So that was a good pleasure, and yeah, see you in the next one. Goodbye.